So let me talk about some of the, I'll give you some information about how to do it in your own home, and you can either use this to do barn raisings yourself, or you can just use it in your own home to reduce your energy use. But wait, let me do this. So these are the things that you should do in if you're going to do your own barn raising group. So 4 to 6 weeks before the event, you evaluate the building. And if you do it with us, we'll come and help you out. Although the traffic to get here is terrible. So maybe we won't do it on a really sunny weekend day. But we'll do the blower door thing, we'll do combustion analysis, we'll look at water and electrical efficiency, where to air seal in the house, et cetera. Then, given that information, we'll help you work out a possible work list. You pass it by the homeowner or the nonprofit or whoever, the tenants, to make sure they agree with it. And we give them approximate prices of each task. And again, they're only paying for materials. It's an incredible deal. Then you get sign-off from the homeowner. You make a much more official list of the materials, and we help you get Energy Federation Incorporated is this great place in Westboro, which will deliver the materials to you, and they give any barn raising group 8% below wholesale because they like what we do. They want to spread energy efficiency knowledge. So we'll help you get those sorts of deals at different places and find the right materials. You set a date for the barn raising, you find team leaders, and you might think at first, like, how am I going to find, team leaders? But they'll, at least in my experience, and they pop out of the woodwork. People love to teach, Somebody who's got some good hands-on skills just loves the idea of helping other people learn it. You publicize the event, and that's easy to do with just email lists, any sustainability email list or volunteer organization sites. You purchase the material and send a reminder a few days beforehand with all the lists of tools that you need to do the work, and people just turn up with 50 ladders. It's incredible. And then you have the barn raising. And they're just really fun events, and I don't know about, for me, before I started this stuff, I was angry all the time. I wanted to shoot every SUV. I felt like humans were just bad, evil folk. But now, since I've started them, I've realized we're all trying really hard. I get to meet and talk with people who really care and want to fight carbon emissions and save energy bills and help the next generation have a planet that's okay to live on. And it makes me feel much better, less angry. So now I will tell you the things to do in your own home. Ready? CFLs, so those are those spirally light bulbs that they're holding up. First and foremost, the most important thing to do, each one of them, if you leave it on approximately 3 hours a day on average, and you switch out an incandescent, the old kind of normal light bulb, for one of these, you save 75% of the energy, which will add up 3 hours a day. If you pay, in Boston and Cambridge, we pay 18 cents per kilowatt hour. So if that's the same here, it's about $11 per light bulb that you save. So you change out 10 light bulbs, and that's per year. So you change out 10 light bulbs, that's $110 that year, and that will last for 10 years. So it's $1,010 over 10 years that you can save with just 10 light bulbs. And some people don't like them for a variety of reasons. They're worried about the mercury. Even if you drop a CFL, they have a little bit of mercury in them. If you drop a CFL and stood over it and tried to suck in as much air as you possibly could, as much mercury as you could, it would only be as much as you get out of eating a single can of tuna. So, because we're just not very good at absorbing the mercury through our lungs. So don't do it. Don't test it out, but don't panic about broken CFLs. And an incandescent light bulb, even though it doesn't contain the mercury, will have mercury come out of the power plant that's powering it. so that it's emitting not directly on site, not in your house, but at the power plant, I think 5 times the amount of mercury. Anybody know if that's as I remember it?
I've heard higher numbers, but yeah, it's
A lot more. So worthwhile doing CFLs. And so we change out every incandescent for a CFL. And another great way to save a lot of energy is computer system preferences. If your computer shows a screensaver on it, you know, a little bouncing thing going back and forth, that means it's using energy, much more energy than it would otherwise. It might not, you know, and you don't have to, well, screensavers just aren't worthwhile anymore. So you want to change the computer system preferences to hibernate after a few minutes if you're not using it. You get up, you go make yourself a cup of coffee, you start watching TV, you come back 40 minutes later. Have it hibernate, have it basically turn off. You just click the keyboard afterwards and it'll come back on. And it'll remember exactly where it was. And that can save you about 100 kilowatt hours per year at least, depending on how many peripherals you have connected to it. It's very easy to do that. That just takes a few keystrokes to do. It costs nothing, and it will save you a lot of money over time. 100 kilowatt hours is like $20, right? Anybody can do that if it's about 20 cents per kilowatt hour. This is a great device. This is called a kill-a-watt. And what you do is you plug it in between into the electrical outlet between that and the appliance. And then you can see how much the appliance actually uses. You don't know. It's like electric bills are crazy. It's like somebody, it's like you going to the supermarket and buying all the things you want and then not getting the bill for a month and having it not be itemized, right? It's a stupid way of billing us. There's no incentive then for us to, watch what we're buying. No, it's very smart for the power companies, and that might be why they're being so difficult on some of these issues. So this is your cash register. You can buy these. They cost $20, and you put it between each of your. You test out each one of your appliances. You find out if it has what's called a vampire load, which means if it's on all the time, even when you turn it off. Like a lot of the TVs. You turn them off, you think you're not taking any more electricity, it's still on. It can be costing you like 20, 30 cents an hour, which if you think about it all year round, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, can add up to enormous amounts of money.
Yeah, anything that uses a remote control is going to draw power even when you think it's off.
Right.
One other reason I wanted to interrupt is the city's Renewable Energy Task Force recently bought 6 of these units that are going to be placed in the Salem Public Library so that any resident of Salem or anybody in the library network can check the thing out.
Yeah, which is just a great, great thing. So check it out. Check all the different devices you have in your house. And it can save you an enormous amount of money each year because then you know which ones to turn off, because you can turn them off, do a hard turn off, or unplug them or put them on a power strip and turn them off that way. Next thing, faucets. See that little doohickey at the end of the faucet, the little round thing? That is an aerator. And you can just take it right out and put a new one in. You just untwist it and put a lower flow one in. It will feel, the water coming out will feel as though it's exactly the same, and you will use a lot, normal aerators use about 2.2 gallons per minute, and you can get, for $1, you can get a faucet aerator that uses only 1.5 gallons per minute. They'll say GPM on them, and that's how you know how many gallons per minute. And if you pay, in Cambridge, we pay 1.5 cents per gallon for sewer and water, and if it's approximately the same, which it seems to be in the greater Boston area, here, then you can save with these things, I think, like $30 a year, and it'll last at least for 10 years. So, it's just so worthwhile doing. It takes 1 second to do. And see, you can sort of see the 1.5 GPM there. You can get them from Energy Federation Incorporated and many other places. Shower heads. A lot of the older shower heads use 2.2, 2.5, 3 gallons per minute. You can get a 1.5 gallon per minute. It feels exactly the same, sometimes even better because it's coming out with more pressure. And it will save you not only the water, but it'll also save you the heat, because you're normally not throwing cold water on yourself, except for maybe in this sort of temperature, this sort of hot day. But so it'll save you about 30 therms of gas per year, and it'll also save you, if you take 7-minute long showers and you have 2 people living in your house, it'll save you, I think, over $100 a year. But I don't have my notes at the moment to check that, but you can do the calculations yourself. Figure out probably 1 gallon per minute you're saving, multiply it by 7 minutes per shower, times 2 people, times 365, you get the idea. Toilet tank banks. A lot of the older toilets, if you pull off the top of it and look in the tank, they are huge. They'll use up to 6 gallons for each flush, 6 gallons of drinkable water, which has to be cleaned and transported. Water is energy. It takes a lot of energy to transport and clean each foot of water, each gallon or so of water. So this is basically a water balloon that sits in your tank. It costs under $1, and it sits in your tank and displaces water. So with every flush, you're using less water. So for less than $1, you can have a low flow toilet. And it's if you find it's not working too well, you empty some of the water out, and then you put it back in. Or if you find you can displace more water, you fill it up with more water. It's awesome. Now let's go on to air sealing the house. So in every building, there's a lot of holes. Teeny little holes, but if you take them all together, it would be about the size of an open window, and you wouldn't throughout the whole winter or during hot summer days leave a window open. So you want to close those holes. A lot of people worry about minimum ventilation standards. They say like buildings have to breathe and all that, but most buildings in the U.S. have about 5 times the amount of air they need in order to have fresh air in the building. So the buildings in this country are not breathing; they are hyperventilating. It's just terrible. And if you go to Europe, if you go to Germany, you see houses that are just utterly different, and you feel more comfortable, because the house, you can keep a more moderate temperature in the building. You don't feel those little drafts once you do that. So caulking is one way to do that. It comes out like glue, and it can seal all those teeny little cracks in the house, around the windows and the doors. It's really easy to do. You just put a bead of it out using a caulk gun, and then just smooth it down with your finger. Everywhere you see a hole in your building, everywhere where there's, especially in the basement or in the attic, really important to seal. People notice windows and doors, and they think those are the things to weatherize. Not as important, because hot air rises, heat rises, right? So all the heat wants to go out the top of the building, and all the cold air wants to come in the bottom of the building. So the more you can seal up your basement, even though it's far away from where you're comfortably watching TV, the more comfortable you will be by the TV. Check every pipe like this, every wire going through the building, and try and seal it. Here's mortar. It's very easy to use. You mix it up to sort of costs $4 for a 60-pound bag. You mix it up to the consistency of sort of peanut butter, and you jam it in the cracks. Make sure you wear gloves, otherwise you can wear your skin off your hands. And when you're mixing it up, don't breathe in the cement dust. But that's all there is to it. It's very easy to do. And for every square inch, that you can, of a hole that you can fill in